Hi, this is Ivan. Welcome to the channel. This is really exciting. I'm at the Air Manager booth at Flight Sim Expo 2023. And if you've watched my channel before, the videos that I get the biggest hits on by far are the Air Manager tutorials. And why is that? It's because it is an essential piece of software that really brings the immersion level up through the roof. And this is Corjan, and he is one of the developers at Sim Innovations. And tell me about your history with the company and the product.
Yeah, we started about 10 years ago, 12 years ago, together with Ralph, which is off screen, I guess.
Okay.
And Ralph wanted to make a helicopter simulator.
Okay.
And basically what we ran into is that we wanted to have something for the instrument panel. But the software that was available back then was either very expensive or it was very inflexible.
Sure.
And that's when we decided to hook up. I'm a software engineer, so he has more knowledge about the aviation part.
Okay.
I have more knowledge in hardware as well.
Sure.
And I have more knowledge about the software side. So that's when we thought like, okay, let's make something ourselves and see if people are interested.
Well,
and like 10 years later now
I think people are interested because again, like I say, I bet today I'll check my phone, I'll probably have 10 people asking, hey, this on the touch screen, how do you set this up? How do you do that? Touch screens have become such a big part of flight simulation. And actually we also have Russ Barlow here, he's kind of off to the side, and he's done a number of videos. Are we all three in there? And Russ has done a bunch of videos on touch screen. It adds to the immersion, but what it also does is it doesn't make you commit to one aircraft type. And we've seen some builds here that are like, say, 737 specific, and there's some really wonderful hardware out there, but then, on my opinion, is now you've built that, but today I feel like I want to fly a Cessna 172.
Yeah.
And this is a lot of complication for that. So what about that? Is that the feedback that you're getting, just the flexibility of the product?
Just a couple of minutes ago, there was a guy who bought a complete 737 cockpit with all hardware, and it was very expensive. Yeah, and then he wanted to fly something else. Yeah,
sure.
And it was crewed basically. So yeah.
And it's a big deal. And there's more panels coming out every day. There's more instruments coming out every day. And you guys are pretty generous with letting third-party developers bring in their own instruments. We were just talking about Joe Gilker from Sim Instrumentations. Got to add that in there. It's hard to keep track of it. And but it's great. It's allowing these people to come in, and that benefits everybody.
Yeah.
And do you guys work with those third-party developers? I mean, are you in contact with them?
I try to get in contact with the guys from Sim Instrumentation. I've talked a lot with Joe.
Okay.
But yeah, most of the developers are like, they want to do their own thing basically.
Sure.
So most of the time I only get involved once there's a bug in Air Manager or something has to be added to Air Manager. That's usually when I step in.
Now 4.2 is about to come out, or it is coming out and that's going to be primarily initially, at least for X-Plane 12, is that right? Or is there going to be some Microsoft benefit too?
Yeah, mostly the video streaming for X-Plane.
Okay.
So where you don't have to use the pop-outs anymore and can use the streaming instead.
Okay.
Yeah, for the rest we done, most things were done in 4.2 you're not going to notice because I kind of rebuilt the whole base layer of Air Manager.
Okay.
So it's prepared for the future, so to speak, but it doesn't bring anything really spectacular to the table.
And I think I'm seeing that from some other developers too. It's like it's under the hood kind of improvements.
Sometimes you have to do that. It's a mix, right? You have to have a bit of new functionality, but also you have to make sure that the whole architecture stays intact and stays future-proof.
Now, whose idea was the Knobster? Who developed that? Was that all you, Russ? Was that?
Yeah. You know, when I first met these guys, I had been to Oshkosh so many times and seen the Fly This Sim. Are you familiar with that? It was Sim Avio. It was touchscreen, FAA certified. And I thought, this is really sweet, you know? It's a screen. It was, compared to what we're doing now, it was pretty basic. But I thought,
hold that for you,
but I said, this is really cool. And I saw what they were doing, and when they were doing it, it was still pretty early. And I started using it, and I said, I'm going to try a touchscreen, because that's what the real attraction of the Fly This Sim was. They're out of business now, by the way. And I was so impressed by it that I got a touchscreen, and I just saw if it would work. And it kind of worked. I could touch buttons and stuff, because it just thought it was a mouse. And then I realized if I put the cursor and touched a knob, and it took my hand off with the touchscreen, the cursor hovered there. And you know, when the cursor's over something, you can use the scroll wheel on the mouse. So I said, I'm going to get an old mouse and rip the scroll wheel out and put a knob on it, and it kind of worked.
Nice.
So then it took me a while to convince these guys to like incorporate it into, like natively into the thing, and they finally did. After I built a prototype, because I couldn't communicate, I don't think, well, how this would work. And I knew as a pilot that it was going to be good.
Sure.
But I couldn't communicate it, so I built a mock-up where I put, you know, a knob with a knob with just a knob and a double knob and a double knob with a push button, and I coded it up with Air Manager, kind of just hardwired it so that it would react the right way, it would highlight and all that. And I showed it to him, and then the light bulb went on, right?
Yeah, it took a couple of months, but
he goes, oh, I get it. So then he went for it, and he thought it was going to be like a weekend project, and it turned out to be harder than he thought, because there's always those little cases you've never thought of.
Sure,
those
absolutely.
little special use cases where it doesn't work or something breaks. But, you know, I love working with these guys. I do it for free because I love seeing the product get better and being able to influence it. I mean, it's selfish. I want it to do certain things for me, and by being in the inner circle with them, I can get them to do
more influence.
I can do some things. And then the Knobster was just a follow, you know, just that was icing on the cake. And then now the streaming video. How long have I been asking for streaming video? Long time. Yeah, like years. We're getting there. So it's just you know, these guys are brilliant. This guy especially.
Yeah, the video streaming is more, the credits should go to Laminar instead of us, because with X-Plane 12 they made it possible to.
Okay.
And we're hoping. Don't you hope that Microsoft will come through too?
I hope so.
We'll see. But I will say this: first of all, back to the Knobster, it was a brilliant piece of software, and I mean hardware, and it adds a lot. To me, it's indispensable. It's a must-have. Now, as far as X-Plane and Microsoft Flight Simulator goes, I think your product works very well with Microsoft Flight Simulator. I mean, that is 80% of what 80 to 90%. I think back in the day, I was probably a little more on X-Plane, and you know, as iterations have gone by, now it's getting harder for me to keep two big installs on the same machine. It's not so much that one's better than the other, but I do think your product works excellent with Microsoft Flight Sim. Sure. I mean, it really does.
Yeah, one thing I still, it's the pop-out things. It's bothered me since it was used, and I would like to get rid of it someday. But
well, there's the developer that came out with the pop-out manager for Microsoft Flight Simulator.
Yeah.
And that was very helpful. Now Microsoft has come out with their new. It remembers where things were, and that was helpful.
That's good.
That, even just a little thing like that makes a big difference. And again, that's largely because of external displays, which is largely because of Air Management.
Yeah, because
but with streaming, you know, no more having to have cutouts, having to have transparency. I mean, it's just one instrument that works, and that's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
If it could make it to all platforms.
Yeah, you can stream it to iPads and Android and different devices as well, so that would really help.
Well, now I'm going to have to go back and install X-Plane. Now, is it out or is it about to be out? 4.2?
Yeah, probably like 2-3 months out.
2 or 3 months?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I'm not adding any new stuff anymore. It's just ironing out all the kinks and bugs and stuff that's still there.
Okay.
Yeah, you can download it right now, right? The beta. So.
Okay.
And it's kind of functional.
Well,
it crashes just now, but
one other thing that he didn't mention is isn't there going to be support for a lot of the real SimGear gear natively?
Yeah, that's something new. Yeah. We wanted to add support for real SimGear.
Okay.
So you can buy real SimGear, and they'll be be perfectly integrated into your Air Manager panel without any other software plugins or anything. And that's really
awesome.
nice.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, gentlemen, I appreciate your time.
Yeah,
thank you so much, and
Great to meet you.
Finally get to meet each other.
Yeah.
And so if you're keeping an eye on things, do look out for 4.2 coming up shortly. They're working on getting it polished and ready to go. But otherwise, I'll see you guys later. We've got more to show. Have a great day.